Most people get stuck in life not because they can't do better, but because they get comfortable with less. You have accepted jobs, relationships, and situations that don't match your values because it felt easier than fighting for what you deserve. But let me tell you something, comfort will rob you of your calling. Settling is the enemy of growth. When you accept less, you send a message to yourself that you aren't worth more. That message gets reinforced every day you stay in a place you have outgrown. It eats at your confidence, your energy, your belief system. Suddenly, mediocrity becomes your new normal, and that's dangerous. Settling also steals your hunger. When you convince yourself that this is enough, you stop striving. You lose that fire in your chest to push harder, to dream bigger, to chase more. And when the hunger dies, the vision dies too. You can't complain about a life you keep tolerating. If you don't like where you are, you have to demand more from yourself and from life. Settling doesn't change anything. It just prolongs the pain of living beneath your potential. People around you might try to convince you that what you have is good enough. They will say, at least you have got this, or be grateful for that. And yes, gratitude is important, but don't confuse gratitude with complacency. You can be grateful for where you are and still hungry for where you are going. The truth is, people will only give you what you demand. If you keep accepting crumbs, you will never get the full meal. Stop lowering your standards just to fit into situations that don't honor your worth. The more you demand of yourself, the more life will respond to that demand. Settling for less might feel safe, but it's robbing you of the life you were created to live. Safety isn't always success. You were not designed to just survive. You were built to thrive, to walk in abundance. To step into greatness, and that starts by refusing to accept anything less than your best. Every morning you face the most powerful conversation you will ever have, the one with yourself. The mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't sugarcoat. It shows you exactly where you are. But too many people avoid that honest look because they are afraid of what they will see. When you look in the mirror, you see more than just your reflection. You see your choices, your habits, your discipline, or lack of it. You see whether you have been taking care of your health, whether you have been putting in the work, and whether you have been giving your all. The mirror exposes what excuses try to hide. You can lie to your friends. You can put on a show for social media. You can fake confidence in front of the world. But when you are alone, when it's just you and that reflection, there's no hiding. And if you don't like what you see, that discomfort is not a punishment. It's a wake-up call. Honesty is the first step to transformation. You can't fix what you won't face. Too many people waste years pretending they are okay, telling themselves they are fine, when deep down they know they are not living at their full potential. Pretending only delays progress. Looking in the mirror with honesty takes courage. It takes admitting, I could be better, I could be stronger, I could be more disciplined. That's not weakness, that's power. Because once you acknowledge the truth, you take control of the story. And let's be real, growth doesn't happen in denial. Growth starts when you get tired of your own excuses. When you stop telling yourself one day and finally admit, I'm not doing enough. That raw honesty pushes you to act differently. The mirror can either be your enemy or your partner. It can either make you feel shame or it can push you to change. But you decide which one it will be by whether you choose to ignore it or to use it as fuel for your transformation. Every single one of us has patterns, things we do out of habit, not even realizing how much control they have over our lives. The truth is, your patterns are shaping your future more than your prayers, more than your intentions, more than your words. You can want to change all day long, but if you wake up and keep walking in the same footsteps, nothing in your life will move. Patterns are powerful, and they either build you or break you. Think about your mornings for a second. Do you hit snooze 5 times before you roll out of bed, already behind on your day? Do you grab your phone first thing and scroll for 30 minutes before you even brush your teeth? Those small choices may not look dangerous in the moment, but they are setting the tone for how you show up in life. If your patterns start lazy, unfocused, and distracted, don't be surprised when your life starts reflecting the same energy. The hardest part about breaking patterns is that they feel comfortable. You have done them for so long, they feel like home, even when they are hurting you. Comfort is dangerous because it tricks you into believing you are safe when in reality, you are stuck. Breaking patterns isn't about doing what feels good. It's about doing what feels necessary even when it's uncomfortable. Look at your relationships. Do you keep choosing the same type of people who drain you, disrespect you, and leave you broken? That's not an accident. That's a pattern. Until you recognize it, you will keep replaying the same heartbreak with different faces. You can't expect new results with the same old cycles. And then there's procrastination. How many times have you promised yourself, I'll start tomorrow? That's a pattern. How many times have you waited until the last minute to push yourself? That's a pattern. You can't build greatness on a foundation of delay. Patterns of procrastination rob you of opportunities, and opportunities don't wait forever. The key to breaking patterns is self-awareness. You have to call yourself out. You have to say, this is the habit that's keeping me stuck. This is the cycle that's robbing me of my next level. Until you can identify the pattern, you will always blame circumstances or other people when really the battle is inside of you. Patterns don't change on their own. You don't wake up one day magically free. You have to disrupt them. You have to force yourself to do the opposite of what feels natural. If your pattern is staying up all night, discipline yourself to cut the lights at a set time. If your pattern is complaining, force yourself to speak gratitude instead. If your pattern is doubting yourself, replace every negative thought with action. That's how you break free. Time is the one resource you can never get back. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose opportunities and find new ones. But the hours, the minutes, the seconds you waste, those are gone forever. And yet, most people treat their time like it's disposable, as if they have an endless supply of it. The truth is, you don't know how much time you really have, and that should wake you up to treat it like the treasure it is. When you look at your daily routine, how much of your time is being spent building you and how much is being thrown away? Scrolling on your phone for hours, binge watching shows, gossiping about people who don't even matter. That's time you will never see again. And then at the end of the day, you wonder why you are behind, why your dreams feel distant, why success seems impossible. It's not impossible. You are just spending the most valuable thing you have on things that don't matter. Your time is the currency of your destiny. Every hour you spend is an investment, and you either invest it in your growth or you spend it on distractions that lead nowhere. That's why successful people guard their time so carefully. They know that what they do with each hour determines what kind of life they build. You can't build an extraordinary life on wasted hours. Think about how careless people are with their schedules. They say yes to everything, yes to everybody, yes to distractions that have nothing to do with their goals. And then they complain about being tired, about being stuck, about not having enough time. The truth is, you don't have a time problem. You have a priority problem. When you start valuing your time like treasure, you stop giving it away to people and things that don't deserve it. Time also reveals your discipline. If you spend your mornings in bed when you could be planning, creating, or praying, that's not a lack of opportunity. That's a lack of discipline. If you let your day get stolen by things you could have avoided, that's not bad luck. That's poor management. You can't control everything in life, but you can control how you spend your time. And here's the part most people don't realize. How you spend your time shows what you value. If you say you value your health but never give time to exercise, you don't value it. If you say you value success but spend more hours on entertainment than on building your dream, you don't value it. Your time tells the truth about your priorities louder than your words ever could. When you start treating your time like treasure, you become intentional. You stop letting people waste it. You stop wasting it yourself. You start scheduling growth, protecting your energy, and building your future hour by hour. And when you do that, your life begins to shift in ways you never thought possible. You only get one big key. Odie in this life, and yet most people treat it like it's replaceable. You can't trade it in like a car. You can't upgrade it like a phone. The way you care for your body determines how far you can go in life. If your body is weak, tired, or broken down, your dreams will suffer because you won't have the strength or energy to pursue them. Too many people say they want success, but they neglect the very machine that carries them there, their body. They will work long hours, chase goals, and grind every day, but they will do it on junk food, no sleep, and no movement. You can't expect your body to perform at a high level when you don't give it the fuel or rest it needs. Think about it. You wouldn't put the wrong fuel in your car and expect it to run smoothly, but that's exactly what people do with their bodies. They eat trash, drink what tears them down, and then wonder why they feel sluggish, drained, and unmotivated. Your energy level is a direct reflection of how you treat yourself. And let's talk about sleep. You can't call yourself serious about your goals if you are staying up all night on nonsense and waking up with no energy. Rest is not weakness, it's a weapon. Your brain, your muscles, your focus, they all recharge when you sleep. Neglecting rest is like showing up to battle with no armor. Movement matters too. You don't have to be an athlete or a bodybuilder, but you do need to move. A strong body creates a strong mind. Exercise is not just about looks. It's about confidence, stamina, and discipline. When you push your body, your mind learns it can go further than it thought. That's how you build resilience. The way you treat your body also affects how people treat you. When you show up looking tired, drained, and careless, you send a message that you don't respect yourself. But when you walk in strong with energy and presence, people notice. They listen differently. They respond differently. Your body is your presentation before you even open your mouth. Your health is your wealth. Without it, money means nothing. Success feels empty, and opportunities slip away because you are too tired or too sick to grab them. When you treat your body like it matters, you are not just taking care of your health. You are protecting your future, your purpose, and your ability to walk in the life you were meant to live. Fear has a way of creeping into every part of your life if you let it. It whispers in your ear when you are about to take a chance, telling you you are not ready, not qualified, not good enough. And the sad part is, too many people believe that voice. They let fear make their decisions, and then they wonder why their lives feel so small. Fear doesn't always scream, it whispers, but those whispers control you if you don't fight back. Think about how many opportunities you have already missed because fear convinced you to sit down when you should have stood up. You didn't go for that promotion because you thought you weren't experienced enough. You didn't start that business because you were afraid of failing. You didn't speak up because you thought people would judge you. And all of those missed moments added up to time you can never get back. Fear grows stronger every time you let it win. Every time you back down instead of stepping forward, fear learns that it can control you. It becomes a pattern. Fear whispers, you obey, and before long, fear runs the entire show. That's how people end up living lives far below their potential, not because they weren't capable, but because, they let fear be the boss. What fear doesn't tell you is that it's mostly an illusion. The majority of the things you are afraid of never actually happen. You imagine the worst case scenario, but reality rarely plays out that way. Fear builds mountains in your mind that don't even exist. The moment you take action, you realize those mountains were just shadows. Courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about acting anyway. The people you admire, the ones who look fearless, they feel the same fear you do. The only difference is that they don't let it stop them. They have learned that fear loses its power the second you step into it. Action is the antidote to fear. Fear will always try to disguise itself as protection. It'll say, don't do this, you might fail. Don't take that risk, you might get hurt. But the truth is, not doing it is what hurts more. Playing it safe is what leaves you empty. You think fear is keeping you safe, but really it's locking you in a cage. Fear doesn't disappear. You outgrow it by facing it. Every time you push through fear, you build confidence. Every time you step forward despite shaking hands and a racing heart, you prove to yourself that fear can't control you. And the more you do it, the smaller the fear becomes until it's nothing but background noise. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in life is because they don't know how to say no. They stretch themselves thin, running in 10 different directions, trying to be everything for everyone else. But at the end of the day, they have got nothing left for themselves. Every time you say yes to something you don't want or need to do, you are saying no to your own growth, your own peace, and your own purpose. Too many people confuse kindness with availability. Just because you are kind doesn't mean you have to be at everyone's service. You are not required to attend every event, answer every call, or carry every problem that gets thrown your way. If you never learn to draw the line, people will take advantage of your time, your energy, and your generosity until there's nothing left. The guilt is what traps most people. You say no, and then immediately you feel like you have let somebody down. But here's the truth. People who really care about you will respect your boundaries. The ones who get angry when you say no were only interested in what they could take from you, not in who you really are. That's not love. That's use. Think about how many times you have agreed to something, not because you wanted to, but because you didn't want to look selfish. You show up to places where your spirit doesn't want to be. You take on responsibilities that drain you, and then you go home exhausted and frustrated. That's not selflessness. That's self-neglect. Learning to say no is about protecting your purpose. You can't pour into your goals if you are constantly pouring into everybody else's demands. Every yes to them is a no to your own dream. You have to start asking yourself, does this align with where I'm going? Does this help me become my best self? If the answer is no, then your response should be no. When you say no, you reclaim your power. You take back control of your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. It doesn't mean you stop helping people. It means you help without destroying yourself in the process. Boundaries are not walls. They are fences with gates, and you control what comes in and what stays out. At first, people might not like your no. They will push back. They will test your boundaries. They will try to guilt you into changing your mind. But every time you stand firm, you get stronger. Every time you say no without guilt, you create space for the things that truly matter in your life. The people you keep around you are either pulling you forward or holding you back. If you spend your time around people who are lazy, negative, and unmotivated, don't expect to rise higher than them. You can't fly when you are surrounded by anchors. The truth is, your environment has more influence on your growth than your intentions ever will. Look at your circle right now. Do they challenge you to be better, or do they keep you comfortable where you are? Do they clap when you win, or do they get quiet when you succeed? Some of you are stuck because the people around you don't want to see you grow. They want you to stay the same because it makes them feel better about not changing themselves. When you surround yourself with people who are ahead of you, something shifts inside you. You start to realize what's possible. You see firsthand what discipline looks like, what success feels like, and what focus produces. Being around greatness forces you to level up. It's not about competition. It's about inspiration. But the opposite is true too. If everyone around you settles, you will start settling too. If everyone around you makes excuses, you will start justifying your own. If everyone around you wastes time, eventually you will waste yours. Energy is contagious. You don't just catch attitudes from people. You catch habits, mindsets, and lifestyles. Sometimes the hardest part is letting go of people you have known for years. You love them, but they don't push you. They might even hold you back out of jealousy or fear of losing you. And if you are not careful, their limitations will become your limitations. You can't afford to shrink yourself just to make other people comfortable. Surrounding yourself with the right people doesn't mean you cut off everyone who isn't where you want to be. It means you are intentional about who influences you. You can still love people from a distance, but you have to decide who gets access to your mind, your time, and your energy. That access is too valuable to give to just anybody. When you find the right circle, people who dream bigger, who grind harder, who think higher, you will notice how much faster you grow. You will start believing more is possible because you will see it lived out in front of you every day. That's the power of surrounding yourself with people who push you. There's nothing wrong with wanting more out of life, but somewhere along the way, people made you feel guilty for it. They told you to be satisfied or don't be greedy, as if desiring better somehow means you are ungrateful. Wanting more doesn't mean you are not thankful for what you already have. It means you see the potential for greater and you refuse to settle for less than that. People who don't understand your vision will always try to shrink it. They will project their own fears onto you. They will tell you you are dreaming too big because they are too afraid to dream at all. They will call you unrealistic because they have accepted mediocrity as normal. But you weren't built to live someone else's limitations. expectations. You were built to live your own possibilities. Every time you apologize for wanting more, you train yourself to settle. You teach yourself to stay small just to avoid making other people uncomfortable. But you weren't put here to blend in. You were put here to stand out, to walk in purpose, and to build a life that reflects your true potential. Playing small doesn't inspire anyone. Think about how much time you have wasted trying to explain your dreams to people who were never going to support them. You try to justify why you are chasing bigger goals, why you are working harder, why you want to break the cycle, and they look at you like you are crazy. Stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to staying average. The truth is, wanting more is not selfish, it's a responsibility. You can't pour into others if your cup is empty. You can't create opportunities for your family, your community, or the people you love if you are stuck at the same level forever. Wanting more means you are thinking bigger than just yourself. It means you want to leave a legacy. When you stop apologizing for wanting more, you start moving differently. You stop asking for permission to dream. You stop waiting for people to understand. You step into your calling with boldness, knowing that some people will clap and some people will criticize, but either way, you are still moving forward. The people who truly love you won't be offended by your growth. They will be inspired by it. And the ones who can't handle it, they were never meant to go with you anyway. Wanting more doesn't make you wrong. It makes you alive, and it proves you refuse to waste the one life you have been given. Your mind is either your biggest asset or your biggest prison, and most people don't even realize it. Every thought you have creates a ripple that shapes your actions, your decisions, and ultimately your life. If your mind is filled with doubt, negativity, and fear, you will act from that space and wonder why nothing is working. Mastering your thoughts is not optional, it's essential. Too many people let their minds run wild like an uncontrolled engine. Thoughts come in and they believe everything without question. I can't do this. I'm not enough. They will never let me succeed. These are not facts. They are opinions your mind has accepted as truth. And the longer you accept them, the more they dictate your life. The first step in mastering your thoughts is awareness. You have to notice what you are thinking and how it makes you feel. Do your thoughts energize you or drain you? Do they push you toward action or keep you paralyzed in indecision? Awareness is the first line of defense against a mind that works against you. Once you are aware, you have to challenge those thoughts. Just because your mind thinks it doesn't mean it's right. Negative thoughts are often lies disguised as reality. Replace I can't with I will try. Replace I'm not good enough with I am learning and growing. You don't have to believe every thought. You get to choose which ones guide your actions. Mastering your thoughts also means feeding your mind. What you consume becomes part of your thought patterns. If you are constantly listening to negativity, doom, and gossip, your mind will mirror that. But if you feed it knowledge, inspiration, and truth, your mind becomes a tool for growth, problem solving, and creativity. You can't control everything outside, but you can control the input inside. Discipline is key. Thoughts will always come uninvited. You have to train yourself to notice them, challenge them, and redirect them toward your purpose. The stronger your discipline, the less power negative thoughts will have. Every time you choose empowering thoughts over destructive ones, you are strengthening your mind for the battles ahead. Your thoughts set the stage for your reality. When you master them, you stop sabotaging yourself. You start seeing opportunities instead of obstacles, solutions instead of problems, and growth instead of stagnation. Mastery over your mind doesn't just change your thinking, it changes your life. Motivation feels good, but it's temporary. It's that rush you get when you hear a powerful speech, watch an inspiring video, or read a moving quote. It gives you energy for a moment. But the feeling fades, and if you rely on it to keep moving, you will fail. Discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation disappears, when the excitement is gone, and when the world tries to drag you down. Most people wait for motivation to start. They say, I'll get started when I feel like it, or I need to feel inspired first. That's a trap. You don't wait for motivation, you act. and motivation will follow. Discipline is about doing the work even when you don't feel like it, even when your body is tired, and even when your mind is begging for rest. Discipline builds consistency. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline is a habit. It's showing up every day regardless of the circumstances. It's putting in the hours, making the calls, writing the pages, or training the body when no one is watching. That consistency compounds over time and produces results that motivation alone could never achieve. Think about the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the leaders you admire. They don't rely on feeling like it. They rely on routine, on systems, on self-control. They have learned that the road to success isn't glamorous. It's repetitive. It's disciplined. They show up even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or boring because they know that every small action stacks toward greatness. Discipline also teaches you resilience. Life will throw obstacles, distractions, and setbacks at you. Motivation won't save you in those moments. Discipline will. When you have trained yourself to act consistently, you develop a mindset that no challenge can derail. Your work ethic becomes stronger than your excuses, and your results speak for themselves. Your best self isn't built in bursts of motivation. It's built in the grind, in the routine, and in the choices you make daily. Discipline doesn't care if you feel like it or not. It's the difference between people who dream and people who achieve. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to go. Discipline also gives you freedom. The more disciplined you are, the less you are at the mercy of your feelings, your moods, or your circumstances. You can control your actions, and when you control your actions, you control your life. Motivation may light the spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps it burning. Too many people waste their lives waiting for the perfect time to start. They tell themselves, I'll begin when the conditions are right, or I'll do it when I feel ready. The problem is the perfect time rarely comes. Life is messy, unpredictable, and imperfect, and if you wait for perfection, you will be waiting forever. The truth is, opportunity is not polite. It doesn't knock and wait while you get your ducks in a row. It appears sometimes in chaos, and you have to grab it or let it pass. Those who succeed are the ones who take action even when conditions are far from ideal. They start imperfectly, they learn along the way, and they adjust as they go. Waiting also breeds fear. You tell yourself you will start tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. That delay gives your mind room to doubt, to worry, and to imagine all the ways you might fail. Fear grows in the pause, and the longer you wait, the bigger it gets. The perfect time is a myth designed to keep you from stepping forward. Look at the lives of people who have made it big. They didn't wait for every piece to fall into place. They started in the middle of a struggle, in the middle of debt, in the middle of uncertainty. They started with what they had, where they were, and who they were at the moment. That willingness to begin without perfect conditions is what separates dreamers from achievers. Waiting also wastes your most valuable resource, time. Every hour spent preparing for a moment that might never come is an hour lost. You can't rewind life to start over. You can't buy back the days, weeks, or years you let slip away because you were waiting. Action now beats perfection later, every single time. Another trap of waiting is that it lowers your confidence. You tell yourself, I'll start when I know more, or I'll start when I have more experience. But the truth is, experience comes through doing, not waiting. Knowledge is gained on the journey, not in the pause. The longer you wait, the more you let your potential fade. Starting imperfectly is not failing, it's learning. Every step forward, even when conditions aren't ideal, builds momentum, teaches lessons, and moves you closer to your best self. You don't need the perfect moment. You need courage, commitment, and action to create the life you have been dreaming of. One of the heaviest burdens people carry is the weight of their own mistakes. You beat yourself up for things you did years ago, holding on to regret as if it defines who you are today. But the past is not a life sentence. It's a lesson. You can't move forward while dragging guilt behind you. Forgiveness is not optional if you want to become your best self. Too many people confuse forgiveness with weakness. They think forgiving themselves means excusing bad choices or pretending nothing happened. That's not true. Forgiveness is about acknowledging the past, taking responsibility, learning the lesson, and then letting go so you can grow. Holding on to guilt only keeps you trapped in a version of yourself that no longer exists. Think about the time you wasted blaming yourself for things you couldn't change. Every I should have and I could have chained you to your mistakes. It saps your energy, clouds your judgment, and steals your confidence. Forgiving yourself releases that energy so you can invest it in building the future instead of reliving the past. Forgiveness also shifts your perspective. When you let go of self-blame, you start to see that every failure, every wrong choice, every setback was a stepping stone. Each mistake carries a lesson that strengthens you, sharpens your mind, and builds resilience. The past stops being a burden and starts being a teacher. Many people delay their growth because they think they are unworthy of success until they fix every wrong from the past. But life doesn't wait for your apologies or self-recrimination. You have to forgive yourself, to move forward, to take risks, and to embrace opportunities that require courage and confidence. Forgiving yourself is not a one-time event. It's a practice. Every time guilt creeps back in, remind yourself that you are human, that mistakes are part of the journey, and that your value is not determined by your failures. The more you practice self-forgiveness, the lighter and freer you become, and the easier it is to take bold action in the present. Self-forgiveness also strengthens your relationships. When you forgive yourself, you model self-respect and compassion, and it changes how others see and treat you. People are drawn to those who are at peace with themselves. When you release the past, you open space for growth, love, and possibility. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you make a conscious decision to invest in yourself, your skills, your mindset, and your future. Too many people spend their lives investing in everything else, entertainment, distractions, pleasing others, but they neglect themselves. One asset that will determine their success: themselves. Every hour you dedicate to learning, practicing, or improving is an investment that compounds over time. Reading books, attending seminars, seeking mentors, or even reflecting on your experiences adds to your capacity to handle bigger challenges and achieve bigger goals. Growth is a choice, and every choice you make either moves you forward or keeps you stagnant. The hardest part of investing in yourself is consistency. It's easy to get excited for a week or a month, but growth demands ongoing commitment. It's waking up early to study, staying late to practice, or pushing yourself to learn something new when you'd rather rest. That's where most people quit, and that's why most people never reach their potential. Investing in your growth also requires humility. You have to admit that you don't know everything, that you need guidance, and that your current knowledge is not enough. Pride keeps people from learning, from seeking mentorship, and from improving. The moment you accept that growth is a lifelong journey, doors begin to open. Sometimes growth comes from discomfort. It comes from challenges, failures, and situations that force you out of your comfort zone. If you shy away from these opportunities, you will never grow. Investing in yourself isn't just about reading or studying. It's about facing life head on and extracting lessons from every experience, good or bad. The return on investing in yourself is exponential. When you grow, your opportunities grow, your confidence grows, your ability to solve problems, inspire others, and achieve your dreams grows. The world rewards those who continually evolve and refine their abilities. Every small step adds up over time to massive results. Investing in your growth also builds resilience. The more knowledge and skills you acquire, the better you handle adversity, setbacks, and uncertainty. Growth gives you power over your circumstances because you are constantly equipping yourself to meet life at a higher level. Consistency is what separates the people who dream from the people who achieve. The problem is, most of the work that produces results is boring. It's repetitive. It's mundane. Nobody posts pictures of themselves doing the daily grind on Instagram, but that grind is what compounds over time into success. You have to show up when it's boring, not just when it's exciting. Think about the habits that matter. Waking up early, writing every day, training your body, studying, and reaching out to clients. None of these things is glamorous, but they are the foundation of progress. If you quit when it's boring, you will never see the results that come from the hours of unseen effort. The human mind craves novelty. That's why you get bored and distracted. But boredom is a test. It's a measure of whether you have the discipline to push past discomfort and stay committed to your long-term vision. The moment you start looking for shortcuts when things get tedious is the moment your dreams start slipping away. Consistency also builds trust in yourself. Every time you follow through on a boring task, you prove to yourself that you can rely on your own word. That confidence spills into every area of your life. You start believing that if you can do the small, boring things consistently, you can handle the bigger challenges that come your way. Many people quit right before the breakthrough. They stop when the task feels repetitive, thinking nothing is happening. But in reality, the results are quietly building beneath the surface. Success doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. It often grows in silence, unnoticed by anyone until one day it's undeniable. Being consistent when it's boring also develops patience. You learn to trust the process, to value effort over instant gratification. In a world addicted to speed, those who can endure the boring work gain a massive advantage. They outlast, outwork, and eventually outperform everyone who was only in it for excitement. Remember, consistency is the engine of success. You don't need to be inspired every day. You don't need to feel like it. You need to show up, do the work, and let the results catch up to you. The boring work is where greatness is forged. The level of success you achieve in life is directly related to the standard you hold yourself to. Most people settle for mediocrity because they have convinced themselves that average is good enough. But the truth is, if you want to be extraordinary, you have to expect more from yourself than anyone else does. High standards create high results. Holding yourself to higher standards starts with your mindset. You have to believe that you deserve excellence and refuse to accept less. This doesn't mean you are arrogant or ungrateful. It means you recognize your potential and are willing to work for it. When you demand more from yourself, you push your boundaries and expand your capabilities. It also applies to your actions. Are you showing up late, cutting corners, or settling for the minimum effort? High standards mean you do your best even when no one is watching, even when it's inconvenient, and even when it's challenging. Excellence is built in the small, consistent choices you make every day. The people you allow into your life are also a reflection of your standards. If you tolerate negativity, laziness, or disrespect from others, you are reinforcing low standards. Surround yourself with people who reflect the excellence you want to achieve, who challenge you, and who push you to rise higher. Your standards attract your environment. Holding yourself to higher standards also builds self-respect. When you refuse to compromise on your principles, your work ethic, and your values, you develop confidence that can't be shaken. You stop seeking validation from others because you know the level of quality and integrity you bring to the table. The challenge is that high standards require accountability. You have to monitor yourself and be honest about where you are falling short. Excuses don't exist at this level. Growth, results, and personal excellence demand that you measure your actions against your own expectations, not someone else's. High standards don't just impact your work. They influence your character, your relationships, and your life trajectory. When you hold yourself accountable to excellence, the world notices. Opportunities start appearing, doors begin to open, and people begin to treat you differently because they recognize the value you place on yourself and what you bring to the table. Setbacks are a part of life. Everyone faces them. No one is exempt. But most people let setbacks define them. They take a failure, a loss, or a disappointment and let it become their identity. You are not your mistakes. You are not your losses. You are not your failures. Setbacks are temporary, but how you respond to them can last a lifetime. The problem is perspective. People see a setback and immediately think it's the end of the road. They believe it proves they are not capable or that their dreams are too big. But setbacks are not proof of inadequacy. They are proof that you are pushing yourself, taking risks, and striving for growth. The moment you label a setback as permanent, that's when it becomes a trap. Setbacks also test your resilience. Life will knock you down, and when it does, you have two choices. Let it define you or let it refine you. Those who use setbacks as lessons become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what's next. Those who use them as excuses stay stuck, frustrated, and unfulfilled. It's natural to feel disappointed or frustrated when things don't go your way. Emotions are not the enemy. They are the signal that something needs attention, adjustment, or reflection. The key is not to dwell in despair, but to extract the lesson and move forward. Setbacks are feedback, not the final verdict. Setbacks also reveal your character. When life doesn't go as planned, how do you respond? Do you give up, blame others, and shrink back, or do you stand up, analyze what went wrong, and take action? Your response to setbacks is more important than the setback itself because it determines your trajectory moving forward. Many people forget that setbacks are temporary. One failed project, one lost opportunity, one rejection does not erase your talent, your worth, or your potential. Life has a way of opening new doors when you refuse to let a temporary defeat dictate your path. The key is persistence, faith, and focus. When you refuse to be defined by setbacks, you gain power. You reclaim control over your story, your choices, and your future. You realize that setbacks are just part of the process, not the definition of your life. And that mindset changes everything about the way you approach challenges and opportunities. Life doesn't hand out success overnight. Every meaningful achievement comes through a process, and most of that process is hard.